Consider the circuit below with two batteries and a capacitor of capacitance C, where the battery voltages are epsilon and 3 epsilon, and the resistances are 2R, R, and 2R. And assume there's a positive charge on the upper plate of the capacitor and a negative charge on a lower plate. And in part A, consider a moment in time where the magnitude of the capacitor charge is 4 by the capacitance by the EMF of the battery, with positive charge on the upper plate and negative charge on the lower plate. At that instant, what are the magnitudes and directions of the currents through the three resistors? So what we can do is assume a direction of our current in the left branch being I1, and in the middle branch we'll assume it to be upwards, and in the right branch we'll assume I3 is pointing to the right. So by Kirchhoff's junction rule, the current going into the node is I1 plus I2, which is equal to the current going out of the node. So that's the conservation of charge. And applying a conservation of energy, or Kirchhoff's loop rule, we'll traverse this left loop in the clockwise direction. So going across the battery, there's an increase in potential, and across the capacitor, we're going from a higher potential to a lower potential, so that'll be a decrease in electric potential. And across the resistor, we're going against the current, so we have an increase in potential, being I2 by R. And then going across this resistor, the current's pointing to the left, so we have a potential drop across that resistor, being I1 by 2R. And that's equal to 0. And on the right hand side, let's also traverse this loop in a clockwise direction. So across the battery, there's a decrease in potential, so we have minus 3 epsilon. And across the resistor, there's a decrease in potential because we're going in the direction of the current, so we have minus I3 by 2R. And going across resistor 2, there's a decrease in electric potential because we're again going in the direction of the current, so we have minus I2 by R. And across the capacitor, there's an increase in electric potential, so we have plus Q on C. And that's equal to 0. And now we can simplify this equation, so if we divide through by R, and take the currents to one side of the equation, we have 2I1 minus I2, so that's equal to epsilon on R, minus Q on RC. And similarly, if we divide through by R, and take the currents to the other side, we have I2 plus 2I3 is equal to minus 3 epsilon on R plus Q on RC. And now let's make a bit of space. We will substitute for I1 and I3 in the conservation of charge, because we can write I1 in terms of I2 and I3 in terms of I2. So to simplify this, what we'll do is just multiply this equation by 2. So what we get is 2I1 is equal to epsilon on R minus Q on RC plus I2, and then we have 2I2 on the left hand side, and that's equal to 2I3, which is minus 3 epsilon on R plus Q on RC minus I2. So taking I2 to the left hand side, we have 4I2, and on the right hand side, we have minus 4 epsilon on R plus 2Q on RC. So dividing through by 4, we get a third equation, which we'll write over here. So we have I2 is minus epsilon on R plus Q on 2RC. And now let's get rid of this. So when the charge is 4C epsilon, we get I2 is minus epsilon on R plus 4C epsilon on 2RC. And the C's cancel. And 4 on 2 is 2. So we have minus epsilon on R plus 2 epsilon on R, which gives I2 is epsilon on R. And then using this equation we derived, we have 2I1 is equal to epsilon on R minus Q on RC, so that'll be 4 epsilon on R, and plus epsilon on R. So that gives 2 minus 4, which is minus 2 epsilon on R, divided by 2, which gives I1 is minus epsilon on R. So as you can see, we've got a negative answer, so the current I1 actually points to the left in this case. Now let's make a bit of room. So if we substitute I2 in this equation, we have 2I3 is minus 3 epsilon on R plus Q, which is 4C epsilon on RC, and minus I2, which is epsilon on R. So on the right hand side, we get 0, which is our answer for I3. So these answers over here are for the special case where the charge on the capacitor is 4C epsilon. And let's just keep a copy of these results, which we may use later. So in part B, suppose that at some later time, the capacitor is fully charged. What is the current through this resistor? Well, if the capacitor is fully charged, then I2 through the middle branch is 0, and therefore by the conservation of charge, I1 is equal to I3. And we'll set this to I, and if we add these two equations, we have 2I plus 2I, which is 4I, and I2 is 0, and on the right hand side, we have epsilon minus 3 epsilon, gives minus 2 epsilon on R, and these two terms cancel. So what we get is I is minus epsilon on 2R, so the magnitude of the current is positive. So that will be epsilon on 2R. And now let's do part C. And what we'll do is paste our result that we copied earlier to visualize the circuit. What would the charge on the capacitor need to be for the current through it to go to 0? Is the top plate still positive? And has the magnitude of the charge gone up or down? So using this equation, we have I2 is equal to 0, and that's equal to minus epsilon on R plus Q on 2RC. So solving this equation, we have the magnitude of charge is 2C epsilon. So here we get a positive sign for Q, so the top plate is still positively charged, and the magnitude of charge has dropped from 4C epsilon to 2C epsilon, so it dropped by half. Now let's go to part D, which is a challenge problem, where we're asked to find the charge on a capacitor as a function of time. And at t equals 0, the charge in the capacitor is 4C epsilon. So generally, the charge on a capacitor as a function of time is a constant plus another constant by e to the minus t on a time constant. So to calculate the time constant, we can use this equation. Now given the capacitor is discharging as the current's flowing away from the top plate, we can write I2, which we'll do over here, as minus the rate of change of the charge with respect to time. And that's equal to Q on 2RC minus epsilon on R. So if we subtract Q on 2RC from both sides, we get a negative on the left. And then multiplying through by negative 1, we get the ordinary differential equation for the capacitor. So the time constant is in the denominator, being 2RC. Now at t equals 0, the charge on the capacitor is 4C epsilon. So we get 4C epsilon is A plus B. And as t goes to infinity, the current through the capacitor is 0, according to this condition. So we get another equation, being the charge on the capacitor is equal to A. So therefore A is equal to B, which is equal to 2C epsilon. So our solution to the differential equation is 2C epsilon by 1 plus E to the minus T on 2RC. So let's get rid of this and go to part E. And we'll use our results from the previous questions. And we're given a challenge to compare the change in energy of the capacitor to the total energy put into or taken out of the circuit by the batteries and resistors between the initial time and the much later time when the current through the capacitor is 0. So using our previous results, we can substitute our solution to the differential equation for the capacitor into this equation to get the current through the capacitor. Or given the capacitor is discharging, we can obtain the same result by taking minus the derivative of the charge with respect to time. So we get 2C epsilon on minus 2RC, and minus that gives epsilon on R by e to the minus t on 2RC. And if you substitute I2 and the charge into this equation, we can get I1. So I'll leave that for you as an exercise. So what we'll get is minus epsilon on 2r by 1 plus e to the minus t on 2rc. And similarly, substituting I2 in this equation gives the current in the third branch. So what we get is I3 is minus epsilon on 2r by 1 minus e to the minus t on 2rc. So let's get rid of these equations, which we no longer need. So as we can see, at t equals 0, we get minus epsilon on 2r by 2, which gives minus epsilon on r. And as t goes to infinity, we get minus epsilon on 2r. And you can check the other currents in a similar way. And now to understand the physics better, we'll draw the currents in a direction they're actually pointing. So given I1 is always negative, we got the direction wrong in our assumption. So we'll just get rid of the negative sign and draw the arrow pointing in the actual direction that the current is pointing, which is into the left battery. And similarly for R3, we got the direction wrong in our assumption, so we'll just get rid of the negative sign and draw the arrow pointing in the correct direction, being away from the battery. Now the change in energy of the capacitor is equal to the final energy being Q squared, which is 4C squared epsilon squared, on 2 by the capacitance, and minus the initial energy stored in the capacitor, so that'll be 16 C squared epsilon squared on 2C, which gives 2 minus 8, or minus 6C epsilon squared. Now the energy that's put in or taken out of the circuit by the batteries, so we'll start with the left battery, and note that the solution to our differential equation and the currents have a steady state term, which always exists in the circuit, and a transient term which disappears over time. So similarly, the currents have a steady state term and a transient term, and the second current completely disappears when the capacitor discharges, so that's a fully transient term, and the third current has a steady state term and a transient term. So the energy that's put in or taken out by the battery between the initial time and a much later time when the current through the capacitor is 0 is obtained by integrating the power that's input or output in the circuit in the transient phase. So what we have is the power being the current through the battery by the electromotive force. So we have E squared on 2R, and we only consider the transient term, so we have e to the minus t on 2RC, and the power is the rate of work, so we integrate this from time 0 to time infinity to obtain a total energy of the battery. So integrating this expression, we get minus c by epsilon squared by e to the minus t on 2RC, and that's evaluated at t equals 0 and infinity. So as t goes to infinity, the term disappears, and as t goes to 0, we get minus c epsilon squared, so the energy of the battery is positive c epsilon squared. So given the currents going into the battery is charging or taking power out of the circuit. Now similarly for the right battery, this time we have a negative power and the EMF is 3 epsilon, so the expression we get is positive 3c epsilon squared, and then as t goes to infinity, this term disappears, and as t goes to 0, we get 1, so we end up with the energy of the battery is minus 3c epsilon squared. Now let's get rid of this, and we'll do the resistors and then give a physical interpretation. So let's just put the energy of the capacitor out of the way. So the energy of the first resistor, which is going to be taken out of the circuit, is equal to the integral of the power, which is a square of the current through the resistor. So that'll be epsilon squared on 2r squared, and multiplied by e squared, so that'll be e to the minus 2t on 2rc, and I squared multiplied by the resistance gives the power, and we integrate this from time 0 to time infinity to get the total energy out of the circuit from the resistor. So what we get is minus Rc multiplied by the constants, which gives minus C by epsilon squared on 2 by e to the minus t on Rc, evaluated at t equals 0 and infinity. So we get ER1 is positive C epsilon squared on 2. And now similarly, for the second resistor, we have our current being epsilon on R by e to the minus t on 2RC. So we get the power is the current squared, or epsilon squared on R squared, and multiply by the resistance, which is R. So what we get in this case is minus C epsilon squared, and then evaluating the integral gives ER2 is equal to positive C epsilon squared. And similarly for I3, we get I squared is epsilon squared on 2R squared by e to the minus t on RC by the resistance. So we get 2R squared on 4R squared by minus CE squared. So ER3 is the same as ER1. Now let's get rid of this. So given the change in electric potential energy in the capacitor is negative, so the capacitor puts energy into the circuit as it's discharging, and the left battery is taking energy out of the circuit as it's charging, and the change in energy of the right battery in the transient phase is negative, so it's using energy to fight against the discharging capacitor as the current is pointing away from the positive node of the battery, so it's not putting energy in a circuit. So we have minus 3C epsilon squared, and the resistors are all taking energy out of the circuit and dissipating it as heat. So we have minus C epsilon squared on 2, minus C epsilon squared, and minus C epsilon squared on 2. So energy is conserved as this evaluates to 0. So the energy put into the circuit by the capacitor is the same as the energy taken out of the circuit by the batteries and resistors. So finally the current in the middle branch goes to 0, and we end up with a circuit with batteries and resistors in series and a steady state current flowing in a counterclockwise direction.